Why are Muslims disunited despite Islam's call for unity? By Professor Dr. Mahmoud Hamdi Zakzouk. There is no denying that Muslim nations are currently disunited. However, this is a stage in the history of Muslim nations, and this stage, which all nations have experienced in the course of their history, is not permanent by any means. The nations of Europe have been able to overcome the factors that led to the contention and disunity of Europe, which resulted in two world wars in the 20th century. The Muslim nations will similarly be able to overcome their problems and differences and create a system of fruitful cooperation for the welfare of all Muslim communities. Many continuous attempts have been made and are still being made in this respect, although their effectiveness is limited, such as the organization of the Islamic Conference, now known as Organization of Islamic Cooperation, which includes all Muslim states. Nevertheless, it is possible to promote the performance of this and other Islamic organizations in order to achieve an advanced stage in the cooperation of the various Islamic states. Islamic principles and teachings concerning unity, cooperation, affinity, and solidarity are the greatest guarantee for the success of all these endeavors in the future. The main sources of Islam, namely the Quran and the traditions of the Prophet ﷺ, call for unity, cooperation, compassion, and sympathy for others, and warn us against disunity and disputes. This is clearly expressed in the following Quranic verses: hold fast to God's rope altogether. Do not split into factions. Ali Imran 103. Obey God and His Messenger, and do not quarrel with one another, or you may lose heart and your spirit may desert you. Be steadfast. God is with the steadfast. Al-Anfal 46. Islam calls for sympathy to others and alleviation the pain of others, and compares a nation to a human body. Prophet Muhammad that said that if one part of the body suffered any pain or illness, the rest of the body would respond in sympathy by suffering from fever and sleeplessness. Islam considers all Muslims to be brothers. The believers are brothers. Al-Hujurat 10. When the Prophet immigrated from Mecca to Al-Madinah, he joined the immigrants and the inhabitants of Al-Madinah, Al-Ansar, into one brotherhood, and they became sincere, affectionate brothers who shared their hopes and their sorrows as they listened together to the verses of the Quran. The verses of the Quran and the traditions of the Prophet present us with innumerable examples of their cooperation, affection, and unity. Many external factors outside the boundaries of the contemporary Muslim nations have led to dispute and disunity between them. These factors originated during the era when the Muslim nations were dominated by the colonization enforced by the Western world. Even after the occupation by these countries came to an end, numerous problems arose, such as the problems of the borders between the various states. The policy adopted by the foreign power was based on the principle of divide and rule, and this created ethnic factions among the natives of the colonies. Furthermore, the foreign ruler exploited the country, which led to its poverty and backwardness, the results of which still exist. In fact, most of the Islamic nations that were once colonies are still suffering from the aftermath of colonization and foreign rule, and the problems that have their roots firmly planted in the earth. Muslims in the countries that had been colonized concentrated upon the problems created by foreign rule and neglected to follow the principles of Islam, which advocate unity and cooperation. Nevertheless, Muslim nations still yearn to unite their efforts to achieve the welfare of all Islamic nations. Any Muslim in any Islamic country feels for and sympathizes with any other Muslim who is exposed to any form of injustice or suffering wherever he may be. For he is part of the large Islamic nation. This will lead to establishing a solid foundation which will encourage attempts to reinstate unity, coordination, and cooperation between the Islamic states. United efforts in the field of culture, economy, politics, security, and the exchange of expertise and all that benefits the Muslim world may help these nations to be more efficient and effective in playing a positive and constructive role in establishing the principles of peace and security all over the world.